They didn't stop loving you all at once, they stopped slowly, and you felt it. You felt it, didn't you? Not all at once. Not in a way you could explain, just something different. The way they looked at you, the way they stopped asking questions, the way conversations started to feel empty. And at first you ignored it. You told yourself they were just tired, busy, distracted, maybe going through something. Because the truth, it's easier to create excuses than to face what your heart is already trying to tell you. So you stayed. You kept showing up the same way. You kept caring the same way. You kept loving like nothing had changed. But deep down, you knew. You knew something was off. It wasn't the big things. It was the small ones. The delayed replies, the lack of interest, the silence where there used to be effort. And silence says more than words ever could. But instead of stepping back, you leaned in, you tried harder, gave more, waited longer, because you believed in what you had, in what it used to be, and maybe in what you hoped it still was. That's the part no one talks about, how you don't just lose someone, you slowly lose the version of them you were holding on to. And it doesn't happen in one moment, it happens in pieces. A little less attention here, a little more distance there, a little less care until one day you're the only one still trying. But even then, you don't call it what it is. You call it a phase, you call it stress, you call it anything except what it actually feels like. Because admitting the truth would mean facing something painful, that they might already be gone, even if they're still right there. And that's what hurts the most. Not the moment they leave, but realizing they started leaving long before you noticed. And you were there the whole time, feeling it, questioning it, ignoring it, hoping it would go back to the way it was, but it didn't. And now you're left with this quiet confusion, trying to understand when everything changed and why you didn't see it sooner. But maybe you did. You just weren't ready to accept it yet, because sometimes it's not that you didn't notice. It's that you didn't want to believe that something so real could slowly disappear right in front of you. And that's where it begins. Not the end of the relationship, but the moment you start to look back and realize the signs were always there. Because the truth is, you didn't miss it. You felt it. Right there, in the small things no one else could see. In the way their voice changed, in the way their attention started to drift, in the way you began to feel alone, even when they were right next to you. It wasn't something loud. It didn't come with an explanation. There was no clear moment you could point to and say, this is where it broke. It was quieter than that, subtle, a shift in energy, a change in presence, a difference in how they showed up, and how they slowly stopped showing up. And you noticed. Of course you did. You noticed when they stopped asking how your day was, when conversations became shorter, when effort turned into routine, and routine turned into distance. But instead of listening to that feeling, you questioned yourself. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Maybe it's just a phase. Because accepting what you were feeling would mean facing something you weren't ready for. That something had already changed, so you stayed in between. Not fully happy, but not ready to walk away. Not at peace, but still holding on. That's where most people get stuck, in that space between what they feel and what they're willing to admit. Because your mind tries to protect you. It softens the truth. It creates explanations. It fills in the gaps with hope. But your body, your emotions, they don't lie. You felt the distance before you understood it. You felt the absence before it became obvious. You felt the shift, even when nothing had been said. And still, you stayed. You answered their coldness with warmth. You answered their silence with patience. You gave more, thinking it would bring them back. But it didn't. Because the moment someone starts to emotionally pull away, it's rarely something you can fix by giving more. And deep down, you knew that too. You just didn't want it to be true. So you held on to the version of them that used to exist, the version that cared, the version that showed up, the version that made you feel chosen, even when the present version was already different. That's the hardest part to accept. Not that they changed, but that you noticed it and stayed anyway. Because you believed in the connection, because you remembered how it felt, because you thought if you just held on a little longer, things would go back. But they rarely do, because emotional distance doesn't happen by accident. It builds, slowly, in silence, in small actions, in things that seem insignificant until they're not. And by the time you fully see it, it's already been happening for a while. It wasn't sudden, it was subtle. And that subtlety is what makes it so hard to accept. Because there's no clear ending, no clear moment, just a growing feeling that something isn't the same anymore. And that feeling stays with you. It follows you into conversations, into silence, into the way you start overanalyzing everything, trying to find clarity in something that was never clearly said. And that's where the real confusion begins. Not in what they did, but in what they slowly stopped doing. And the more you think about it, the more it starts to make sense. Because maybe it didn't end in one moment. Maybe it was already fading, long before you were ready to see it. And once you start to see it, you can't unsee it, because it begins to connect. All those moments that felt small, they weren't small at all. They were signs, not loud, not dramatic, but consistent. And that's how it happens. Love doesn't usually end in a single moment. It doesn't disappear overnight. It doesn't wake up one day and decide to be gone. It fades, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. And that's what makes it so dangerous, because while you're still fully there, fully present, fully invested, they're already somewhere else. Not physically, but emotionally. You can feel it in the way they stop engaging, in the way they stop reacting, in the way things that once mattered suddenly don't. The effort changes, the energy changes, and eventually, the connection changes. But here's the part that hurts the most. There's no conversation about it, no clear explanation, no honest moment where they sit down and say, something is different. Instead, it just becomes this quiet shift you're left to figure out on your own. And you do try to understand. You replay conversations, you analyze messages, you question yourself. What did I do? Was it something I said? Did I change? But the truth is, sometimes it's not about one thing. It's about a gradual disconnection, a slow withdrawal, a quiet decision that was never spoken out loud. And while that's happening, you're still holding on, still showing up, still caring, still trying to keep something alive that's already losing its pulse, because from your side, it still feels real, it still feels worth saving. But from theirs, it's already becoming something else, something lighter, something less important, something easier to let go of. And they don't say it, they show it, in the lack of effort, in the lack of presence, in the way they stop choosing you, without ever saying they did. And that's the shift most people struggle to accept, because you're waiting for a moment, a clear ending, a final conversation, a reason you can understand. But fading doesn't give you that. It leaves you with questions instead of answers, with feelings instead of clarity, with a slow realization that what you thought was still there has been slipping away for a while. They didn't leave overnight, they left slowly. And the hardest part is that while they were slowly stepping back, you were still stepping forward, still believing, still hoping, still trying, until one day you look around and realize you're the only one still there. And that's when something shifts inside you. Not just the pain, but the understanding. Because now you start to see the imbalance. You start to feel the weight of carrying something alone. You start to recognize that while you were holding on tighter, they were already letting go. And that realization, it changes everything. And when you finally see that, something inside you shifts. Not all at once, not in a dramatic way, but enough to make you stop and really look at what was happening. Because for a long time, you weren't just loving them. You were holding the connection together. You were the one reaching out, the one asking, the one trying to fix what felt off without even knowing exactly what it was. And they were slowly stepping back, Not with words, not with a clear goodbye, but with distance, less effort, less presence, less of everything that once made it feel real. And still, you stayed. You told yourself relationships go through phases, that people get distant sometimes, that things would come back. So you adapted. You lowered your expectations. You accepted less attention, less communication, less care. Not because you deserved less, but because you didn't want to lose them. That's how it happens. You don't notice the imbalance right away, because it builds slowly. At first, it's just a small difference. Then it becomes a pattern. And before you realize it, you're the only one trying to keep something alive. You start doing more, giving more, waiting more, hoping that if you just hold on long enough, they'll meet you where you are again. But they don't, because emotionally, and they've already started to let go. And that's the part that's hardest to accept. Not that they changed, but that you felt it and kept going anyway. Because you believed in the version of them you once knew, the one who cared, the one who showed up, the one who made you feel secure. You held on to that version, even when their actions no longer matched it. And in doing that, you slowly started abandoning yourself, ignoring your own feelings, dismissing your own doubts, silencing that inner voice that kept telling you something wasn't right, because losing them felt worse than losing yourself. So you stayed longer than you should have, gave more than you should have, accepted things you once said you never would, all in the name of love. But love isn't supposed to feel like that. It's not supposed to feel one-sided. It's not supposed to feel uncertain. It's not supposed to make you question your worth. And yet, there you were, trying to hold on to something that was already slipping away. You were fighting for something that they had already given up on. And once you truly see that, you can't ignore it anymore, because now it's not just a feeling, it's a realization, a clear understanding that what you were holding on to was no longer being held by both sides. And that realization, it doesn't just hurt, it changes the way you see everything that happened, every moment, every conversation, every sign you once ignored. And suddenly, it all starts to make sense, not in a way that brings peace, but in a way that brings clarity. And that clarity, that's what leads you into the next part, the moment where everything finally clicks, and you understand what it all really meant. And that's when it finally hits you. Not in the moment they leave, but in the moment you understand, when you start replaying everything, not to blame them, but to see it clearly. The conversations that felt off, the silences that lasted too long, the moments where you felt something and pushed it away, now they come back, but differently. Now they make sense. You begin to see the pattern, not as confusion, but as truth. And that truth, it hurts, because it's not just about losing them. It's about realizing when you actually started losing them. It wasn't the goodbye. It wasn't the distance at the end. It was everything before that. All the little moments that didn't feel right. All the times you questioned and then dismissed it. All the signs you felt in but chose not to face. That's what stays with you. That's what echoes, not the ending, but the slow unfolding that led to it. And with that realization comes something even heavier. The awareness that you stayed, even when you felt it. You start asking yourself questions you can't ignore anymore. Why did I accept that? Why did I stay quiet? Why did I keep trying when it wasn't being matched? And those questions don't come with easy answers, because it's not just about them. It's about you too, about what you were willing to hold on to, what you were afraid to lose, what you were hoping would come back. And that's where the pain deepens, because now it's not just heartbreak, it's clarity. And clarity doesn't always bring comfort. Sometimes it brings accountability. You realize it wasn't sudden, it wasn't unpredictable, it wasn't out of nowhere, it was happening in real time. And you were there for all of it, feeling it, sensing it, trying to understand it, but not ready to accept it. Because acceptance means letting go. And letting go, it means facing the reality that something you believed in was already fading, that something you trusted was already changing, that someone you held close was already becoming distant. And that realization, it changes the way you see love, it changes the way you see people. But more than anything, it changes the way you see yourself. Because now you understand something most people avoid. The pain isn't just in what happened, it's in recognizing how long it was happening before you allowed yourself to see it. The pain isn't losing them, it's realizing when it actually happened. And once you reach that point, you can't go back to not knowing, because now you see it clearly. The distance, the imbalance, the truth. And that truth, it doesn't just close a chapter, it opens something else, something deeper, something more honest, something that forces you to look at everything differently, including what comes next. And maybe that's the hardest truth to accept. Not that they stopped loving you, but that you felt it and stayed anyway. Because you believed, because you cared, because you didn't want to give up on something that once felt real. But now you see it, not through emotion, but through clarity. And that clarity, it hurts, but it also frees you, because once you understand what really happened, you stop chasing answers and start protecting yourself. You stop holding on to what's already gone and start seeing what's still within you. And maybe this wasn't just about losing someone, maybe it was about finding yourself again, after losing yourself, trying to keep someone else. So if this felt real to you, if you saw yourself in these moments, comment the word late, not as regret but as awareness. And if this gave you clarity in a moment, you needed it, leave a like and subscribe. There's more truth like this, waiting for you to see it a little sooner next time.